Have you ever watched horror movies like Psycho, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Silence of the Lambs? These movies are inspired by true events that happens in the 1950s. The villains is inspired by the infamous serial killer named Ed Gein, also known as the Butcher of Plainfield. After a local woman disappeared, all evidence is pointing at Ed Gein. Police immediately searched his home in Wisconsin Plainfield in 1956 and discovered a gruesome scene. A woman is hanged in her ankles, decapitated and was gutted. They also found objects that were made of bones and skulls, human organs, furnitures made of human faces and skins. Gein explained that he was trying to resurrect his dead mother, by crafting a skin suit from his victims. At a young age, he was raised by his domineering and religious mother, Agusta. Ed and his brother Henry were taught that the world is full of evil, and that women is the vessels of sins. Agusta thought that Crosse Wisconsin is full of filth, thus she insisted to move to Plainfield, Wisconsin. They settled outside town to prevent her kids from the exposures of evil. Ed Gein only goes outside to attend school, which leads to a socially awkward behavior, and often bullied by his classmates. Ed's father died in 1940s, an alcoholic man which almost had no influence in his life. In 1944, Ed and his older brother Henry was clearing some vegetation in their field, when suddenly a fire broke out. After the firefighter extinguished the blaze, his brother Henry is nowhere to be found. He was later seen in the marsh face down and is dead from asphyxiation. Henry's death leaves Ed and his mother alone in the house, which leads Ed to be more obsessed to her. After a year of isolation together, Agusta died in 1945, a year after Henry's death. After Agusta's death, Ed boards up her room and made a shrine to her memory. Living alone in an isolated place far from town, he began with his obsession. Ed Gein studies Nazi medical experiments, learning human anatomy and reading horror novels. When a local woman, Bernice Worden, is missing from her store, leaving nothing but blood stains, a 58-year-old widow welcomed her last customer, none other than Ed Gein. When the police searched Ed Gein's property, they were horrified. They found Bernice Worden in the kitchen dead and hanged by her ankles. The police also found things crafted by Ed Gein, a kitchen utensil made of bones, lampshades made out of human skin and human bones, shoes, a mask made of human face, a belt made of nipples, and a dismembered part of Bernice Worden, also the remains of a woman which is missing in 1954, identified as Mary Hogan. Ed Gein admitted to the police that he dug corpses from a local cemetery, and find a body that resembles close to Agusta. He wanted to make a human skin suit that looks like his mother, and wears them, so that he will become like her. Ed Gein is immediately arrested and brought to the police station, but later found not guilty. The court jury thought that he is not sane. He was sent to Central State Hospital, which he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Later his farmhouse is mysteriously burned to the ground. After 10 years, Ed Gein is deemed fit to stand trial, and convicted only to the murder of Bernice Worden, and was not tried to the other murders, because the state thought that he is insane, and it's just a waste of money. They later explained that he would only spend the rest of his life in hospitals either way. Ed Gein died at the age of 77, and only admitted the killings of Bernice Worden and Mary Hogan. Despite with all the evidence that was found in his house, and the 40 bodies that he butchered. He is the inspiration of the killer in which have a loving mother in Psycho, the Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Buffalo Bill of the Silence of the Lamb. These movies terrified us even today, but not as chilling and terrifying as Ed Gein's horrific crimes and life story.